Listen, I'm primarily self-taught on the piano, and with that, I've been able to become a full-time music producer and a full-time educator, teaching other people how to play piano for production. So if I had to start all over to do it faster, these are the 11 things that I would do. If you're new to the channel, my name is BruceBeats. Welcome. I'm a multi-instrumentalist and producer, placements with Rapsody, Major 7, Netflix, McDonald's, ESPN, and way more. And my goal here is to help you play piano specifically for music production and songwriting without banging your head over traditional methods of learning music theory and outdated techniques that don't necessarily apply to modern production. Because I know personally as a producer, I don't necessarily want to be a virtuoso on this instrument. I just want to be able to play well enough to get my ideas out into the DAW with ease, sounding good, and being able to also play live and express myself on this instrument, but not necessarily be the best of the best on it. I just want to play good enough for my productions and then some. And I'm happy to say through a lot of trial and error and years of mistakes, I've been able to get to that point, and I'm still working on it. But if that's something you want to do, and I had to do it all over again, these are the 11 things that I would focus on. Number 1 is learn songs. And I have this in caps, I have periods, and I have it underlined because this is the most important thing that you can do. A lot of teachers will tell you,
learn your scales, learn your chords, learn the Roman numeral formula, learn how to read sheet music, learn how to voice lead.
And while all that stuff is cool and has its place, you're not making music. And when you learn songs, you see how all of that stuff is being used to actually make music. And so when you learn songs, you can just steal what the songs are doing and use it in your production. And here's the thing about stealing. When you steal, it always comes out different because that artist you're stealing from has different experiences, has a different life story, has a different style, has a different everything. So when you steal the chord progression or the melody or the rhythm or that one thing they did in the song structure there and you use it in your track, guess what? The context is gonna be completely different. It's probably a different genre, it may be a different style, it may be a different key, you're gonna be using different sounds, it's gonna be filtered through your own experience. As you're using it, you may hear something different, so you'll change something about it. It's never exactly the same. And that's the beauty of stealing like an artist. So plain and simple, when you learn songs, you understand the musical DNA of what makes a song cool, and then you can steal that stuff and you can use it for your own productions, and your bag of tricks becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you know it, you're free to play anything and everything that you hear in your mind without guessing. Number 2, I would learn my scales. And I know about 50% of you just clicked off this video right now. Allow me to explain why I also have this in caps and completely underlined. When I was younger, growing up in high school, I was playing trumpet and I thought I was too cool for school, and I put off learning my scales for years and years and years because it was hard. I remember like sitting there in the band room trying to play this A flat major scale, and I just couldn't for the life of me remember these freaking notes. And I have a video on my channel that I'll link you in the description that actually makes this process a lot easier, especially if you're a producer, so you can go ahead and watch that video. But man, because it was so hard, I just put off learning them forever. And while I didn't know them, I was struggling playing the ideas in my head, I was struggling with chord progressions, I was struggling understanding how music worked. I just felt like I was hitting a wall and I couldn't get past it. And when I was around 19 or 20 years old, that's when I was like,
you know what, I'm actually really gonna take music seriously. I think this is what I wanna do for the rest of my life. And since this is what I wanna do for the rest of my life, I think I gotta learn my scales.
So I buckled down and I learned my 12 major scales. And dude, let me tell you, that 1 year, it was just like a dramatic shift in what I was able to hear, in what I was able to do, what I was able to understand, the beats and the songs that I was able to create, because scales are the groupings of notes that you use to create music. For example, if I have an idea and I'm hearing it in the key of E major, these are my notes I'm using, nothing more. Anything else I play is gonna be wrong. So if I don't know these notes, and if I don't know my way around these notes, how can I ever expect to play something dope without always having to change it back to the key of C major? But then what? Everything I create for the rest of the time is gonna be in the same 2 keys that I know, which means everything is gonna have that same emotional feel? No, dude. And I would love to be able to change keys in the middle of my chord progression because that's what makes things sound really cool. And in order for me to do that effectively with freedom, I knew I had to learn my scales. And like I said, the minute I did, life-changing. Number 3, I would learn my chords and I would get familiar with them in every key. So I would learn my major 1 3 5, my minor 1 flat 3 5, I would learn my diminished 1 flat 3 flat 5, and I would learn my augmented 1 3 sharp 5. And I would also learn my sus 1 4 5. Those are the main chord qualities that you're going to be using, and those are the triads. Those are the building blocks of everything else. You know, when you want to play these chords that have a little bit more color to them and have a little bit more life to them, right? That's really hard to do if you don't understand 3-note chords, because those fancy chords come from 3-note chords. They're extensions of 3-note chords. Number 4, the Roman numeral formula. This is the chord formula and how the chords actually show up using a scale. If you want me to make a video on this, I'm happy to. Just type in R and F in the comments below. But I know a lot of cats who aren't theory wizards and they don't know a lot about music theory, but they really know this guy like the back of their hand. They know the chord formula and they're able to write amazing songs, because those chords that I just played, those are the chords that you're gonna be using to write songs. And most songs you listen to use that thing straight up. They don't even deviate from it. I wish I understood this a lot sooner, because it would have made my life so much easier. Number 5, understanding 7th chord. So once we have our 3-note chords in line, what we want to do is we want to start adding the 7th on these chords, because this is going to give it, this is the first step into like having some color into the chords, right? When I play this major chord right here, it sounds kind of bland, but as soon as I put the 7th on it, ooh, we start getting some color, right? And then the same thing in minor. If I play this chord, we have this kind of sound, but as soon as I put the 7th on it, we start to get some color out of this. And so understanding how the 7th chords work inside of the Roman numeral formula, if you just stopped here, this is gonna put you ahead of 90% of producers in the game, because you're gonna be able to play your 7th chords in all keys and any chord progression that you wanna play and be able to put it together on the fly. Like, this is the stuff, dude. Number 6, I would have focused more on developing my sense of rhythm. Rhythm is that heartbeat. Rhythm is that pulse that makes music sound good. If you're just kind of playing notes all willy-nilly in the air and it doesn't have a sense of rhythm to it, it just sounds like notes that are floating, and it doesn't necessarily sound like music. It's just noise. But music is sound and silence organized in time. And if you think about James Brown music, like James Brown's music is so infectious, not because he's using all these crazy chords, not because he's singing all these crazy melodies. In fact, most of the time it's just one chord and he's like screaming into the microphone, so it's almost no discernible melody. There's like not actual notes. He's just like yelling. But the rhythm and the groove is so in the freaking pocket, and it makes the music sound so infectious. So the driving force behind James Brown music is rhythm. And when you can match that deep pocket with this really nice harmony and with beautiful melody, you have something really special on your hands. On the flip side, if you have really nice chords and you have a beautiful melody, but your rhythm is kind of off and your pocket is not there and you're like hesitating to play the notes, it doesn't sound right. I'd rather listen to Justin Bieber. Number 7 is to actively listen to music. These tips are in no particular order, but this probably should have been number 2. Because just like learning songs teaches you what to do, when you actively listen, you get all the answers you're looking for. You just need to know how to find them. So when I say actively listen to music, I don't mean just sit there and listen for enjoyment and dance to the music. I mean sit there with your eyes closed, or your eyes can be open. I like to close them because I like to really just be in the music. But you're listening for, what is the chord progression doing? What is the bass line doing? What is the sound of the snare? What are they doing in these transitions? What is the song structure? What is the instrumentation? Can I actually list out every single instrument that's happening? Ooh, that really cool vocal effect that they had at 1:30 seconds. Ooh, the intro was in like a slightly different key than when the actual song started. Oh, that's really cool how they put the bridge after the first hook instead of after the second hook like it usually comes. Oh, it's kind of dope how they have 2 hi-hats instead of 1. All these little details that kind of fly by your awareness when you're just enjoying the music come to light when you actually pay attention. And when you notice that stuff, you can now use it in your tracks. So that same cool thing they did in that transition, you can now do it. That same hi-hat trick they used, you can now use it. That same rough, gritty snare that they had, you can now use it. And it's just another way to collect ammunition so that you can keep your creativity alive when you're in the DAW. I would highly recommend doing this every single day. One of my favorite things to do is go walk and listen to music. And lately I've been on my R&B kick again, and I'm just listening to so much modern R&B on these walks, and it's like, it's so fun. It's not a chore to actively listen to music. I mean, we do music because we love it. And when I'm studying it, I'm like understanding why I love it. It's super cool. So if I go on a 40-minute walk and just listen to music and just be with the music, not lost in thought, but actually listening to the music and enjoying it. And if I hear a song I like, I put it on repeat and then repeat and then repeat. Like, that is so fun. As a matter of fact, last Friday, I was walking around. I spent about 45 minutes to an hour just walking around listening to music. And I listened to the same song pretty much for the entire hour. And as I was walking back home, I ran into this girl.
And she was like, oh, you're not doing anything fun on Friday night?
And I was like, I'm having mad fun right now. Like, just me and myself listening to music. That's so much fun. So if you just allow it to be fun, you'll learn a ton while having the time of your life. What can be better? Number 8 is having good practice habits. Now, for those of you who are still here after scales, I know about half of you are probably leaving right now because I just said the P word. But let me tell you why this is super important. Michael Jordan did not become Michael Jordan without practicing. Kobe Bryant did not become Kobe Bryant without practicing. But the reason they became who they are is not because they practiced, it's because they practiced smart. They knew what to do to maximize their time in the gym. And so that's what we need to do. If I want to spend more time creating and less time practicing, I need to maximize my time while I'm practicing so I can actually see fruits from that labor and not have to just practice for hours and hours and hours and then come back the next day and it's like I didn't even touch the freaking piano. And then before you know it, I'm spending all my time practicing and I haven't made a beat in like 2 weeks. We don't want that. I have an entire video on this channel dedicated to good practice habits that you can check. I'll also leave that in the description below. But when I decided to take myself seriously as a musician and stop half-assing my practice, that's when I started to really feel confident in my skills because I actually felt the improvement. I heard the improvement. Others commented on the improvement that was being made. And that all came from just dialing in what I did for those 20 minutes that I sat down. Or if I only had 10 minutes that day, they were incredibly productive. And you can get so much more done in 15 minutes at the piano with good habits than 2 hours just kind of noodling and trying some shit out. Number 9 is ear training. You know those guys who can hear something once and just play it? Or they have an idea in their mind and they're just able to do it? What's that about? It's because they train their ears to know what they're hearing. Specifically, what you want to train is intervals. Being able to recognize the distance from one note to another. Once you got that, you want to train your ability to recognize chord quality. So like, this is a major 7 chord. This is a minor 7 chord. It feels like this. This is a minor 9 chord. It feels kind of mysterious. This is a major 9 chord. It feels kind of happy like a major 7 chord, but maybe just a little warmer. I have a bunch of ear training materials inside my Piano for Producers community if you want to check that below. But another really great way to get your ear training up goes back to key number 1 in this video, and that is learning songs. Training your ears much like training your muscles in the gym. Let's say I want to train to do 10 pull-ups. 10 pull-ups is not very easy to do. And so if I go and I can only get 1, 2, maybe 5, like I don't just do that today and then say, well, I can't do it and then never try ever again. I show up every day and little by little by little, if I keep showing up and I keep failing and my muscles keep breaking down, but I keep putting in that effort, eventually I will be able to do all 10. And it's the same thing with music. You learn a song, you get the notes wrong. You learn another song, you get the notes wrong. You learn a third song, you get the notes wrong. Little by little, you start to get things right, and then you start to recognize patterns that just keep repeating themselves over and over and over again, because that's the language. That's why people call music a language, because you see the same patterns being repeated again and again and again. Much like these words that I'm using right now. Every single word that I've used in this video, I have used before. I'm just putting them together in different ways to explain this message to you right now. And so music is the same way. All the notes, all the chords, all the melodies, I've played all that stuff before. It's just being arranged in a very specific way for that piece of music. So the more I can start recognizing those patterns and those groups of notes that repeat themselves, the easier it is for me to recognize it when I hear it. And I'm like, oh, that's just a 1-4-5. Oh, that's a 2-5-1. Whatever it is that I'm hearing. Just understand with ear training, you're gonna suck before you're good. So just push through the suck and you'll eventually get there. Number 10 is having a structure to follow. And if you can have a mentor, even better. I remember specifically with my piano journey, sitting down, struggling with voicings, just like messing with one note after the other. I play a chord, I'm like, oh wait, which one should I pick? What sounds better? I would waste so much time like guessing and trying to put things together, and it never sounded the way I wanted it to sound. I spent years doing that. And then finally I decided to take myself seriously and stop thinking I could do it all by myself. And I auditioned for jazz trumpet school at the University of Miami, and I got in. And at that school, I learned a secret to playing advanced harmony on the keys. And I didn't take piano lessons at that school, but we did have a few jazz skills classes that were centered around teaching harmony on the piano. And I learned the best best thing that transformed my life at that school, and it's called the grip system. And all of that harmony and all of those voicings that I was messing up with, that I was guessing, that was making me frustrated, immediately went away when they took me through the step-by-step process of the grip system. And I was like, why didn't somebody just tell me this sooner? Like, dude, almost everything you hear me play, I'm just using the grip system. Like, it's a cheat code. It's literally the thing that changed my life as a producer and as a musician. And the moral of this story is, if I had just gotten out of my way sooner and stopped thinking I could do it all by myself, I would have gotten that structure sooner. I would have met the people at that school who taught me the easy way to play things in 12 keys, who taught me the grip system, who taught me how to think of things more effectively so I didn't have to keep banging my head against the wall trying to figure this shit out. That's the only reason that I can speak to you here on this YouTube video today, because of structured learning and mentorship. If you're still watching this video and you dig my style and you think I can help you take your musicianship to the next level, click the link below to check out my Piano for Producers community, where you can get that structured learning and you can get that mentorship from yours truly every single day inside of our community. And it doesn't have to be me, but if you can find a teacher and a structure that you resonate with, it's going to be like gasoline on the bonfire. And last but not least, stay consistent. Nothing great comes with inconsistency. Has this ever happened to you? You're like,
okay, dude, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start practicing piano. I'm gonna practice every single day, and I'm gonna get these skills up.
and then you start practicing and you stick with it for 2 weeks. Hey, maybe you even stick with it for a whole month. And at that 30-day mark, you're starting to feel better. You're like, dude, I can see this. This is working. And then you miss a day. And then that day turns into 2. And then that 2 days turns into 7. And then those 7 turn into a whole month. And then after a month of being off, you're like, oh, snap, I gotta get back on. And so a month later, it's like day 1 all over again. You go to play, you're not as good as you were 30 days prior. And you're like,
man, this isn't working, I suck.
well, of course you suck, dude. You didn't play for a month. Like, it's unrealistic to expect that you didn't touch the piano for a whole month and all those skills are just gonna stay exactly where they were. That's not how it works. Don't blame it being hard. Blame your lack of consistency. Sorry, tough love. The thing about being consistent is that the results start stacking up on each other. So those first 30 days, maybe things are moving a little bit slow. But if you continue to stay consistent, those next 30 days, things start to ramp up even faster. The 30 days after that, you start to excel even faster because all your knowledge is building on itself, all your skills are building on itself. But you don't give yourself the opportunity for that exponential growth curve if you fall off. And hey, dude, we're all human. We all fall off for a day or two. That's not a problem. The only problem is when you let one day turn into 5, and when you let 5 turn into a month, and when you let a month turn into an attitude of defeat, and when you let an attitude of defeat stop you from doing what you know you need to do. It's simple. Just get at the piano. Just show up. As long as you touch this every day for 5 focused minutes, working on the activity you know is going to bring you to the next level, you've won. That is the win. The win isn't playing like Robert Glasper or Beethoven. The win is showing up and putting in the work. Because simply by showing up and putting in the work, playing like Robert Glasper or Beethoven is going to come as a byproduct. Or wherever you want to be, whoever your heroes are. If you just showed up every day for 5 minutes, and some days those 5 minutes are going to turn into an hour and a half. Some days those 5 minutes are going to be 5 minutes. And some days those 5 minutes are going to be unfocused 5 minutes. We're human. It's going to be different. But if you just show up every day, and if you fall off for a day or two, just get back on. You fell off the horse? Oh well, you can just get right back on it. Do that for the next 90 days. And watch your skill set increase like you have no idea. Do that for the next year. Stay committed to what you say you were gonna commit yourself to without switching to the next shiny thing. Because here's what happens. You say, I'm gonna do this thing, and you start doing it, and for the first 2 weeks, maybe even the whole first month, you're super motivated about it. You're wanting to show up every day. And then after that first month, you realize this is a little bit more difficult than I thought. This is gonna take a little bit more work than I thought. And then thing B looks really shiny and easy, so you jump ship. And then you're really excited and motivated about thing B for like the first 2 weeks, and then you're like, oh snap, this is a little bit harder than I thought. It's gonna take a little bit longer than I thought. Oh, look at this thing. And now thing C looks really shiny and easy. And then 2 weeks or a month into thing C, same thing happens. So you come back to thing A. And then that cycle just keeps repeating over and over again. And you never make meaningful progress with anything because you're not staying consistent with anything. Here's a better approach. I'm gonna do thing A. Fuck everything else. It's hard. I'm doing thing A. I don't feel like it. I said I was gonna do do it. This is taking longer than I thought it was going to take. I'm doing thing A. Because guess what? Once you get through those thoughts, you start to see the results that you always wanted in the first place. They're just on the other side of a little bit of difficulty. And there you have it. These are the things that I would focus on if I had to start all over. Number one, I would learn songs so I can understand what my heroes are doing and steal those very techniques. Number two, I would learn my scales so that I can actually know the language that I'm speaking when I create music. Number three, I would learn my chords so I can express myself without guessing. Number four, I would learn the Roman numeral formula so I can put together songs and I can put together those chord progressions. Number five, I would learn my seventh chords so I can start understanding more advanced chords and more advanced harmony. Number six, I would put focus on rhythm so that everything I played had a heartbeat and actually sounded pleasing to listen to. Number seven, I would actively listen so I can continually get new ideas from records and understand what people are doing and again, use those same exact techniques in my songs. Number eight, I would develop good practice habits so I could spend less time practicing and more time having fun. Number nine, I would get my ear training up so I can hear something and be able to play it right away. Number 10, I would find a teacher so that someone who's 10 steps ahead of me can guide me and I don't have to figure it all out by myself. And number 11, I would stay consistent so that I can get to where I want to be faster. If this video has been helpful to you, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. A little bit different than normal, didn't do much playing, but I hope it's been valuable to you. Check out the links in the description for some free goodies and I will see you on the next one. This is Bruce Beats. Peace!